You wear shoes right now. You probably haven't thought about your feet since you put them on this morning. That single fact would have killed you 40,000 years ago. Not slowly, not eventually, by the end of one ordinary day. Picture it, the sun is barely up over a cold plain in what is now southern France. You stand, and before you have taken 10 steps, the ground is already testing you. Frost soil, loose scree, a river crossing where the rocks shift under your weight. There is no path. There has never been a path. The only road that exists is the one your legs are about to invent, step by step, for the next 30 kilometers. And you will do it again tomorrow. Your ancestors did this. Their bodies were built for it in a way yours simply is not, and the gap between you and them is not laziness or softness. It is written into the architecture of your skeleton, and the evidence is sitting in museum drawers across Europe right now. Start with the bones, because bones don't lie. When a biological anthropologist named Christopher Ruff began measuring the leg bones of ancient humans, he was looking at something most of us never think about. Bone responds to load. It thickens where it is stressed and thins where it is idle, the same way a muscle does. The shaft of your femur, your thigh bone, carries a hidden record of how hard you walked, climbed, and carried across your whole life. And when Ruff compared the leg bones of Ice Age hunter-gatherers to modern people, the difference was not subtle. Their bones were dramatically stronger, reinforced, built like the frame of a vehicle meant to go off-road and never come back to pavement. Here is the part that should stop you. A researcher named Colin Shaw, working at Cambridge, took this further. He scanned the leg bones of prehistoric foragers and compared their strength not to office workers, but to modern elite cross-country runners. The ancient bones held their own. Some of those Ice Age men and women had leg bones as robust as a competitive athlete who trains for a living. Except they weren't training. They were just living. That was Tuesday for them. So picture your own femur next to theirs. Yours is the bone of someone who walks from a chair to a car to another chair. Theirs is the bone of someone whose entire existence was motion across brutal ground. Same species, same DNA enough. Wildly different machines, and the difference doesn't stop at the thigh. Look down at your feet again. A Harvard biologist named Daniel Lieberman has spent decades studying how human feet are supposed to work, and the conclusion is uncomfortable. The modern shoe is a kind of cast. It splints your foot. It holds the arch up so the small muscles inside never have to. Over a lifetime in shoes, those muscles weaken, the arch softens, and the foot forgets the job it evolved to do. Your ancestors' feet were not weaker versions of yours. They were stronger versions, thick-soled with hardened skin, with toes that gripped and spread, with arches held up by living muscle instead of foam and rubber. So now drop your shoes. Stand on that frozen scree barefoot the way they did and start walking. How far do you get before the soft sole of your foot splits open? A mile? Less, and here is the open question that the bones keep raising. If their legs were this strong and their feet this tough, what exactly were they doing all day that demanded a body like that? The answer is the thing almost no modern human has ever experienced, and it raises the stakes of this entire story. They walked to hunt, but the walking was the hunt. Across the open landscapes where many of our ancestors lived, there was a technique that depended entirely on the one thing the human body does better than almost any animal on earth: shedding heat while moving. You don't have fur. You sweat across your whole body. A four-legged animal built for a fast sprint cannot do both. It cannot gallop and pant at the same time, not for long. So the human strategy, documented by researchers studying foragers in the Kalahari, was not to outrun the animal. It was to outlast it. You pick your target. You move the animal bolts far faster than you and vanishes. You simply keep coming. You track it across hours and tens of kilometers under a punishing sun, to sprinting, never stopping, until the animal's body overheats and it collapses, unable to take another step, while you are still walking. Now hold that image, because this is where everything you assumed flips over. You have been picturing the Ice Age as a story of strength, brute hard muscular survival. But the persistence hunt is not a feat of strength at all. It is a feat of patience and endurance, of a body so efficient at the boring, grinding work of just keeping going that it can defeat a creature far more powerful than itself. The thing that made your ancestors deadly was not that they were stronger than the antelope. It is that they could be slower than the antelope forever. Their entire physiology, the long legs, the sweat glands, the reinforced bones, the springy arch in the foot that returns energy with every stride, was a machine optimized not for the spectacular burst, but for the relentless, unglamorous continuation. The superpower was endurance disguised as ordinariness, and that reframes the whole skeleton. Those bones as strong as an elite runner's? Of course they are. Your ancestors were elite endurance athletes. They just didn't know there was any other way to be a person. If you want to feel how recent this all was, how close in time these bodies are to yours, go to the evidence in the ground. On a beach in Happisburgh, on the English coast, the sea pulled back the sediment one day and exposed a set of human footprints pressed into ancient estuary mud among the oldest ever found outside Africa. A small group, adults and children, walking south along a river. You can see the heel strike. You can see the arch. They are unmistakably the prints of people walking exactly the way you would, except those prints are far older than our own species, made by ancestors trudging across a cold landscape that no longer exists. And in Tanzania, at a site called Engeresero, a vast field of footprints captures dozens of people moving together across volcanic ash, some of them, when you measure the spacing of the strides, clearly moving at a steady, ground-covering pace. Not strolling, traveling, these are not statues. They are not bones in a case. They are moments, someone's actual afternoon, frozen. And every one of those prints was made by a foot that had never once known the inside of a shoe. So here is the second open question, the one that turns this back onto you. If their bodies were built by a lifetime of this walking, if the strength was the result, not the cause, then what is your body being built by right now, today? Because the same rule that thickened their bones is still running inside you. Bone responds to load. Muscle responds to use. The foot that is splinted in a shoe and rested on a floor all day is not a defective foot. It is a foot that has been told, clearly and repeatedly, that it will never need to do anything difficult. And it has obediently become exactly the foot for that life. Erich Trinkhaus, studying the bones of Neanderthals and early modern humans, found their skeletons marked everywhere by use, by the loads they carried, the ground they crossed, the sheer physical cost of existence. Your skeleton is marked too. It is recording a life of chairs. This is not a story about how they were tough and you are weak. That misses the real point entirely. You have the same genes that built those persistence hunters. The blueprint for the endurance machine is still in you, unopened. The arch can be rebuilt. The bone can be rethickened. The capacity to walk all day did not vanish from the species in 10,000 years. It went dormant in a single lifetime, yours because nothing ever asked it to wake up. Your ancestors didn't last all day because they were extraordinary. They lasted because the ground gave them no choice, and their bodies answered. You have a choice. That is the only real difference. They walked because stopping meant starving. You stop because nothing is chasing you. So go back to the very first thing. You are wearing shoes right now, and you haven't thought about your feet all day. Your ancestors couldn't afford a single hour of that forgetting, and the body you're standing in was built, cell by cell and bone by bone, by people who never once got to stop walking.